All right, let's talk about multiplying positive and negative numbers. Now, keep in mind there are only 4 possible combinations. There's the positive times the positive, which you've been doing since second grade or something. And then there's negative times negative. And these two I've put together because they have they're the combinations where the signs are the same. You can also have positive times negative or negative times positive, and I've grouped these together because the signs are different. And there's really only 2 rules you need to remember. One rule for when the signs are the same, and one rule for when the signs are different. So let's start with what we know for sure. Positive times a positive, right? 3 groups of 4. Positive 4, positive 4, positive 4 makes a positive 12. That's pretty straightforward. So let's reinforce the rule here. When the signs are the same, positive times positive, our answer is positive. All right? Now let's take a look at a different situation. What if we have a positive times a negative? Well, this is sort of intuitive. You can see I've got 3 groups of negative 4. So there's a negative 4 plus a negative 4 plus a negative 4. That makes, well, negative 12, right? That's 3 groups of negative 4 makes negative 12. And so here's another rule. When the signs are different, our answer comes out to be negative. Now those 2 examples should make sense, and they'll help you remember the rule, right? They'll help you remember the rule. We can say, yes, we know a positive times a positive, when the signs are the same, makes a positive. We know 3 groups of a negative, a positive times a negative, that's going to be a negative, right? You see the signs are different, that makes a negative. And that will help you remember the other situations, right? Like for example, a negative times a negative? This one isn't quite as intuitive. It doesn't quite make as much sense. But what it means is I want the opposite of 3 groups of negative 4, right? Remember, a negative is really the opposite of what you want, right? The opposite of 3 is negative 3. So let's just say this is the opposite of 3 groups of negative 4. So here's our 3 groups of negative 4. We know what that means. That's negative 12. But we really want the opposite of that. Right? The opposite of negative 12 is, well, 12. Turns out to be a positive number. Again, think about the rule. If the signs are the same, you end up with a positive number. All right, let's take a look at our last situation. Again, this doesn't make quite as much sense when you think about it. That's why we have the rules. But what if we have a negative times a positive? Well, that's the opposite of 3 groups of 4. So here we go. There's 3 groups of 4. We know that makes 12. But we really want the opposite of that. We want the opposite of 12. And so the opposite of 12 is a negative number. It's negative 12. Okay, so again, the rule, when the signs are different, your answer is negative. And that's all you got to know. That's it.